Welcome back, I'm Joe. You clicked on this video because you're curious about whether you should rent or own a home. I get that question all the time. In fact, I just went out to YouTube and I did some research on it and found some pretty prominent people that are recommending to rent because it's more financially responsible. Let me tell you right here, they're wrong. I'm going to show you why. Have a look. Okay, we are going to evaluate the costs of renting versus owning. You can't see that, can you? Okay. The costs of renting versus owning. What are our costs when we rent? Really, it's just rent. That's all you pay. Because you have maybe some insurance or some lawn maintenance or some utilities that you pay, but you also pay those things over here. So we're not going to use those. We're only going to look at the differences so that we know which one we can pick. On the own side, we've got a lot more costs. On the own side, we have closing costs, including the cost of your loan. We've got the cost of the HOA. We've got insurance. We've got taxes. We've got principal and interest payments. And we've got maintenance. All of those things are costs when you own. But you also have a very big value when you own, and that is equity. And that is why it's so important to understand that owning is much more financially responsible than renting. In fact, what if I told you that this was the graph that represents the costs of renting versus owning? This red line is the cost of renting. This green line is the cost of owning. This number is $1 million over 30 years. So if that doesn't convince you, I don't know what would. But some of you might be saying, what about the downturn? What happens if the market turns around like it did back in 2007, 2008? Well, I actually purchased a house in 2004 and I still own it. So let's plug in those numbers to the spreadsheet and see how they come out. Okay, so here are the numbers for that house. I purchased it back in 2004 for $225,000 at 4.25% interest on a zero down VA loan. Now I'm going to put 30 years in here. I actually did 15, but I want to show you what 30 is first. I calculated the 2.5% appreciation with that downturn. The reason I know that is because I know that today the current value of the house is $325,000, which is what this shows at 2.5%. You can see that if I change this number to 2%, for instance, the current value would only be $302,000. So I just messed with this number until I got the current value of the house, and that's why I know that with the downturn and its current upswing, the average is 2.5% over the last 15 years. So take a look at this graph. The rent price is actually a little bit lower. You can see after 30 years it's about $700,000, and the reason is because I only increased the rent 1% for this particular renter. That's why this red line is a little bit lower than what it could be. Now take a look at this. This green line is assuming a 30-year mortgage. But let's change this to what I actually did was a 15-year mortgage, and look what happens. So it's really interesting when you look at it. I hope this spreadsheet is helpful. I'll put a link to it below. Download it, play with it. If you like it, send me an email. If there's something I need to change, please let me know that as well. Oh, and don't forget to tell them that next we're going to do a video on purchasing a rental property. That can be a great investment as well. We'll show you ROI and all kinds. I'm Joe. Whenever you're ready to buy, make sure you find yourself a good real estate agent that knows the market and can help you live the dream.